Twitter stock plummets as what many are calling the big tech coup backfires. In this video, we're going to take a look at the latest purge of President Trump and many of his supporters from social media platforms, how that purge is actually backfiring with a massive exodus of users from Silicon Valley, and how new technology is emerging that analysts say could make these big tech oligarchs nothing less than a thing of the past. You are not going to want to miss this. Greetings, everyone. Dr. Steve here with you. Wonderful to be with you as always. We're here to give you conservative hope in the midst of all these turbulent and trying times by analyzing current events in light of conservative trends so you can think better and feel better. So if you haven't already done so, you know what to do. Make sure to smack that bell and subscribe button. We'd love to have you as a regular part of this channel where each and every single day we relentlessly focus on optimism and encouragement in the midst of all the doom and gloom nonsense that's out there. Before we dive into things here, let's give a huge shout out to the sponsor of this video, and that's our good friends over at Noble Gold. Gold and silver, gang. Gold and silver, right? When times are tumultuous and turbulent, you can't beat it. There's frankly never been a better time to start a gold or silver IRA in your portfolio. And the amazing staff over at Noble Gold are ready to help you in any way that they can. And if that's not incentive enough, Noble Gold is giving away the U.S. Mint's own solid silver 5-ounce $1 Apollo 11 moon landing coin with each qualifying gold or silver IRA. Absolutely beautiful. So don't wait. Click on that link below or visit their website at noblegoldinvestments.com or give them a call at 877-646-5347. Make sure to mention my name, Dr. Steve Turley, and let's ride that gold wave together. All right, gang, let's dive right in here. Twitter stock fell by as much as 12% today as the social media company is reeling from its decision to permanently suspend President Trump's account and its 88 million followers on Friday evening. Business Insider is reporting that the share price decline wiped out an astonishing $5 billion from Twitter's market capitalization. Twitter bosses claim that the account was suspended, quote, due to the risk of further incitement of violence, close quote, and it goes without saying that Twitter just paid a massive price after booting Trump off their platform, who quickly set up accounts at a number of alt-tech sites such as Gab. In fact, it's being reported that Gab, which is a free speech alternative to Twitter, is seeing an increase of nothing less than 10,000 users per hour. And by the way, I would be remiss if I did not mention that you can subscribe to our Gab account by simply clicking on the link below. We'd love to have you over there. Now, just on Saturday alone, Gab tweeted out, ironically, tweeted out that they had 500,000 new users in a single day with nearly 20 million visits. The Silicon Valley exodus has begun. Get into the arc of Gab. The best is yet to come. I love the biblical imagery and the optimism. Now, of course, Twitter's move to permanently ban Trump from its platform was part of a larger purge by big tech, a purge that included the suspension of the social media site Parler. Not only did the Apple Store and Google App Store ban Parler from any further downloads, but Amazon Web Services informed Parler executives that they had decided to suspend them from their server, which has caused Parler to have to go offline until they figure out what to do with an alternative server. We had personally over 60,000 subscribers on our Parler account, and I got to say this is utterly absurd. And if you're looking to find us, by the way, in alternative platforms, in addition to Gab, you can find us on Rumble and BitChute at the links below. We'd love to have you there as well. Gab went through this several months back. If I recall, their server dropped them as well, and they went back up shortly thereafter, and they appear to be rather de-platform proof, shall we say. I'm sure Parler will follow suit, as well as many other alt-tech platforms. They're going to have no choice but to leave Silicon Valley-based platforms and form more independent ones that don't depend on these big tech sites that become really nothing less than super PACs for the Democrat Party. But as we're seeing here, many are indeed interpreting this latest purge as nothing less than a big tech coup. In other words, we have tech giants who have the tools and the power to block dissent, and they are in fact using those tools quite openly, banning the president of the United States himself. However, as it turns out, it's not merely the alt-tech social media sites that are leaving Silicon Valley. As the CEO of Gab had pointed out, users themselves are beginning a mass exodus from Silicon Valley. They're following President Trump, they're canceling their subscriptions, and as the stock price tumble for Twitter today predicts, this is just the beginning of this mass exodus from big tech. What many are calling big tech's coup is indeed backfiring, and it's backfiring significantly. Representative Devin Nunes joined Maria Bartiromo to denounce the social media giants, and he went so far as to suggest that the CEOs of Google, Facebook, Twitter, and Amazon should be criminally charged. He's making the argument that this is a clear violation of antitrust laws, it's a violation of civil rights, and the RICO statute. And he's calling for a racketeering investigation into the coordinated attack, not only on a company like Parler, but on what these big tech giants are doing to ordinary citizens. The Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton is also stepping into the ring here. He's promising to fight back against big tech censorship with everything that he's got, which is very, very interesting because this means, at least in part, we're already beginning to see something akin of sanctuary states forming, deep red states announcing that they're not going to be a part of any Democrat program or persecutions coming down the pike. But something even deeper is going on here. There's another backfire against big tech that goes way beyond simply a mass exodus of users or the calls for prosecution. That's bad enough. No, the backfire I'm talking about is the hastening of a technology that would have the effect of rendering these big tech monopolies totally and completely irrelevant. And I'm talking here about what many of you know as blockchain technology. Now, one of the best books I could recommend for your reading is the book Life After Google by George Gilder. If you're not familiar with him, George Gilder is an extraordinarily prolific scholar and author. He's an economist and analyst of future trends. He was actually, as I understand it, the most oft-cited economist by our former President Ronald Reagan. In fact, in the early 80s, Gilder predicted the economic boom that would eventually occur through Reagan's tax cuts and deregulation of the economy. And he's an extraordinary mind and incredibly prescient, incredibly far-thinking, often ahead of his time. And according to Gilder, all of these attempts by big tech globalist corporations to silence nationalist, populist, traditionalist, conservative voices will soon become irrelevant. And that's because we're entering into what he calls a post-Google age. Now, before we get into that, we are currently setting up a number of different alt-tech sites so we never lose touch with one another, and we would love to share with you all the different sites that we're on, and you can find out simply by clicking on the link below and signing up for our alternative media directory. Now, this directory is going to make sure that you find precisely the alt-tech site that we're on that's right for you, and best of all, you'll learn how to think better so you can feel better, but without the threat of censorship. It's absolutely free, so make sure to click on that link below and sign up for our Turley Talks alternative media directory today. All right, so what is a post-Google age? Well, it's an internet age where tech giants will simply no longer be able to control and manipulate information. And Gilder's basic thesis is that Google's business model is fundamentally flawed and will simply not be able to compete in the midst of the rise of what's called a blockchain economy. Now, the business model he refers to is what's called traditionally the aggregate and advertise model. The reason why Google gives everything away to you for free, you know, it's email, it's internet searches, YouTube entertainment, Google calendars and the like, the reason why it gives everything away for free is twofold. First, so that it can amass quite literally a significant portion of the world's population as its users, right? That's your aggregate. But then secondly, it takes the information it has on these users in terms of tracking how they use the internet, their demographic information and the like. It takes that profile detailed information and then turns around and sells it to advertisers, okay? That's Google's business model. It's aggregate and advertise. And what this means, you've got to get this. What this means is that you and I, as users of Google services, you and I are not customers. We are products. We are the ones who are for sale. Our data, our profiles, that's how Google operates. Facebook and Twitter as well. That's how they all operate from a business model perspective. That's why these big tech oligarchs can drop Trump and Parler and the like at a drop of a hat. Because both Trump and his million-member audience are not customers, they are the product. Google owns all the information on Trump and his subscribers, and because we're the product rather than the customer, they can dump us anytime they want. They can delete all of us, simply with a snap of their fingers, Thanos-like, right, for you Marvel movie fans. But as all of this is going on, Gilder argues that there's brewing under the surface a massive, absolutely massive information revolution that promises to change the entire architecture of the internet. And the revolution that's going on right now as we speak is one where the information that's currently controlled only by a centralized corporatist elite, like the Google Corporation or Facebook or whatever, that control is being dispersed and now shared among billions and billions of internet users. Information is moving from vertical control, where it's amassed and stored and indeed controlled by a small group of people, to being unleashed, as it were, and dispersed among virtually all internet users. That's the key revolution that's going on as we speak. And this revolution is taking place primarily through what's the rise of what's called a cryptocosm, which operates by what Gilder calls cryptography and through the use of blockchain technology. Now, if you're not familiar with what's called blockchain technology, Gilder walks through it in several chapters of his book. But when all is said and done, blockchain technology promises to provide an alternative trust and verification system to that provided today by institutions and corporations on our internet today. So we're already seeing the rise of things like cryptocurrencies, right? Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies are probably the most popular forms of blockchain technology right now that we know of today. Now, you're going to have to read the book if you want to get more into it, because frankly, blockchain technology is pretty complicated stuff. At least it is for me, that's for sure. But Gilder's hardly alone. A number of analysts believe that blockchain technology and what they call the cryptocosm is indeed the wave of the future. And that entails nothing less than a post-globalist and indeed a post-Google future. So while these purges are certainly painful, and in many ways they may have only begun, we can all take heart that a new internet architecture is rising. They may forever render big tech monopolistic giants totally and completely irrelevant. Now, before you go, make sure to like this video, comment down below, and definitely please subscribe to my channel. And you'll definitely want to check out my latest video. I just uploaded it. It's all about real conservative hope in the midst of turbulent times, and why you can be absolutely confident that a new conservative age is indeed rising. You are not going to want to miss that. So make sure to click on the link, and I will see you over there. God bless.